Vincent Pritchard, guys. Clap it up.
Good evening, everyone. It's a really unique experience for me because when I'm as a comedian, normally I'm the one getting heckled, but I'm in the audience. So it's really like a backward situation. So I'm waiting for you guys to heckle me now so that I feel like I'm more of a normal person. I mean, look at me, I'm wearing a vest with dinosaurs on it. I'm obviously not normal. So, I'm probably not in the right crowd because I wanted to come up and talk about like communication and the human condition and like shit that's really meaningful. But then I remembered that I'm at a bar at a comedy club. So, we're going to talk about something else. I used to be a middle school teacher in Japan, which was a fucking nightmare. But it gave me some interesting stories. I consider myself to be more of like a storyteller than I do a comedian, but I feel like I can also intrude into the world of the actual comedians once in a while, get heckled and then go home and cry into a bowl of cereal in my sleep. But we're gonna give it a shot. So I was, like I mentioned, a middle school teacher, and I always had this policy that I could have one of my students come up to me at any time and say, "Mr. Vincent, what does this, that, and the other mean?" And I would tell them what it means, and then tell them how to use it in a sentence. And this was a poor choice on my part, because I was working with middle schoolers. So what I got was a lot of, "Mr. Vincent, what does fuck mean?" Well, fuck is a colloquial term that you use when you're and you know, it's fair. I promised I'd do it, I had to do it. So one day, there was this girl in my class, her name was Mana. She was the best student in like all of my classes. She was already fluent in English because she fucking cheated and went to New Zealand for a couple years. So when she came back, she was walking around like, yeah, I'm swag and I've got like English and shit. And like, that's not, it doesn't sound like that would be a cool thing, but in Japan, that makes you the shit. Like, you know how in America, like, people will get like the tattoos and Chinese, Japanese shit on their arm, and they're like, yeah, man, it says like bravery in adversity, and it probably just says something like chicken dinner. But in Japan, they do the same thing, just backwards. Like, I saw a girl out on the street one day, and she couldn't have been like 9, and she was wearing a shirt that just said, "Fuck bucket." You're 9 years old. What on earth are you doing with a shirt like that one? So, the experience of being a teacher over in Japan that way is something that really changes your life because you really get to know the differences in words. Like, I had one student who, like was mentioned, her name was Mana. She was the best student, but she liked to pretend like she didn't know what she was talking about. So she came up to me one day with all of her friends from like the volleyball club or whatever, and she comes up and she goes, "Mr. Vincent, English try, okay?" And I'm like, you can't pull that bullshit. You already know, we're good on the English, like you can talk normal. And she's like, "No, friends, so, okay, English try?" Alright, fine. She goes, "Mr. Vincent, you, how long?" She's fucking 14. What am I gonna tell her? How long? I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean. What do you mean, how long? And she goes, "No, like," I was like, "Oh, you mean how tall am I?" Well, I'm 6 feet tall, and if you want to know my length, you'll have to wait a couple years. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been fantastic. Thank you very much.